Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 10th. We are 90 days out from September 8th. Your DTD2 this week, you are calling your P's and your L's and texting your V's. You can do that at 9 o'clock in the KW Breakthrough Club, KWBreakthroughClub.com. Go in there, cameras on, microphones off, your space to do lead generation. Of course, it's Wednesday, so there's tons on the menu today. If you're doing lead gen, you're heading to KW Breakthrough Club. And that's sort of like just a study hall for you to have all week long, and especially on Wednesday, unless you have a license in all of the states in which we're teaching today, because contracts happens on Wednesdays, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. At 9 o'clock today, it is commercial contracts. These are in person in Portsmouth and on the Zooms at Keller TV. Then you're going to go down to your 10 o'clock slot. At 10 o'clock, we are doing main contracts. Of course, that conversation happening in Portsmouth and on the Zoom. So you will have Jason Westcott leading that conversation. And then 11 o'clock, New Hampshire contracts in Portsmouth and on the Zooms. I can't stress enough that we are in the practice of real estate. And there is no such thing. And again, life comes up, things get thingy. But the velvet rope that I would encourage you to put around the safe spaces, whatever state you serve. And if you are serving multiple states, then Wednesdays are going to be very busy for you. If you're a Maine and New Hampshire kid, your face is committed to 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Those 2 hours, you should be in contracts class. I know it's early. It's Wednesday. I shouldn't be shooting all over you. I'm going to recommend as a best practice in this practice of real estate that you're in that learning mode and gathering intel and going. And you could say, you know what, actually, I know Jason left off here. I know it's going to be there. And I've seen him teach that or go over that 50 million times. That's not the point. The point is who's going to be in the room with you for contracts today? Who's going to be in there for the commercial conversation with Ethan? Who's going to be in there at 10 o'clock for Maine with Jason? Who's going to be in there? And I mean in the room in Portsmouth or on the Zooms at kellertv.com, because the people that come together, those shared experiences, that's what changes the conversation. There's different questions. There's different answers. There's, I did this. This is what happened. And of course, Jason's going to reel it back in and be like, well, yep, that was 3 years ago. Things have changed. Let's talk about that. It's much like if you took any philosophy whatsoever, maybe you pop some in college. Philosophy is basically described as a conversation that's been going on for thousands of years that you get to step into and out of, and into and out of. And that's what we're doing with contracts. Where will you be today in contracts? And for those of you that have commercial, it's 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock is Maine. 11 o'clock is beautiful downtown New Hampshire. Now, for those of you doing your contracts and maybe making phone calls, however the cookie crumbles today, when we get to 12 o'clock today, at 12 o'clock, we'll be having our conversation as we always do, the midday protocol. And you can join us in the same room. We use the same Zoom room we do for Breakthrough. So go to KWBreakthroughClub.com, and that'll put you in the Zoom room for lead gen. Then you can jump out and go to Keller TV for your contracts classes. Or if you're here in Portsmouth, just jump in the class. When contracts wraps up at 12 o'clock, we'll be doing the midday protocol, which is where we discuss what did you do? What conversations have you had? Right? Interactions and conversations are three lead indicators. Interactions and conversations, track those. Appointments set to sit with buyers, sellers, investors, track those. And then agreements signed. Have I signed a buyer into my business? Have I signed a seller into my business? Have I signed an investor into my business? Have I signed somebody under contract with a purchase and sale? That's your third lead indicator. We talk about those. That's that conversation, weekdays at 12 o'clock. Now, today at 1 o'clock, we've got roadmaps. Roadmaps are back. You'll notice MAPS. Of course, MAPS is an acronym, stands for Mega Achievement Productivity Systems. We've stolen it and made it our own. It's going to be roadmaps here, and we're basically giving you a roadmap to do a thing. And MAPS here stands for Mega Agent Presentations. You love that. I know you do. We've got our dear friend, Lawana, joining us today at 1 o'clock. She'll be in the training room at 1 o'clock. From 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Lawana is going to talk about her listing presentation so you can see what she's doing. And again, there is no one singular listing presentation. There are pathways. These are the things you're going to do. These are the boxes that need to get checked, the things that need to be signed, the things that need to be explained. Everyone does it differently. So you're going to see her unique practice. She's going to show you how she does it. Because we constantly hear, I'd love to find out how this person does that, or how is this done, or if I could just sit in today. That's your opportunity today. This is in person only in Portsmouth. We will be doing a listing presentation up north in Meredith this month on a given Wednesday. That is on the calendar. I'm not going to make dates up. I'm just telling you there's going to be a listing presentation for Roadmaps coming, and then we're going to do buyer presentation. We've been doing these. We've been off for a few weeks with these, but Roadmaps are back today at 1 o'clock. Lawana will do the listing presentation here in Portsmouth at 1. At 2:30, our fearless leader, Nathan W. Dickey, the W stands for Wilma, probably Wayne. Nathan W. Dickey is going to jump in at 2:30 and talk about absorption. Now, there are many different ways that people present absorption. Many of you have experienced JV, Jen Vashon, our managing broker, and how she discusses it. And there's Nathan's version of how he discusses it. So he's going to go through that today. And they work together in sales for quite some time before they work together at the market center. So you'll see there are similarities. Nathan will have that conversation with you today. That's at 2:30 in the training room. So after Lawana, so we got contracts all morning. Grab some lunch. Lawana's at 1 o'clock. And then starting at 2:30 after Lawana wraps up, a little bit of a break. And then at 2:30, we do absorption with the Nate Dickey. That's your calendar. What I can tell you too, tonight, if you've got anybody who is getting ready to take their license test, they've gotten through class and they're getting ready to go take the test for New Hampshire. And they pepper in some Maine if there's Maine people that are going to be in the room. And they can help with Vermont too. And when I say they, I'm talking about our dear friend, Jason Westcott and Ashley. They'll be in the room. Study sessions tonight. It's 5:30 to 7 here in Portsmouth in person. You can send in your friend who's about to go take their test. Have them come on and hang out with Jason. He does a great job of going through right now what are most likely the questions they're going to start to see, going to help them understand the mindset around taking the test, how you should eliminate certain things from your thought process, and how you can chop it down to what makes the most sense, what's the most probable answer to help people pass their test and get their license and join the industry. Study session tonight at 5:30. So that's your schedule for the day. It's Wednesday. It's action-packed. There's a lot of stuff going on. What I did want to talk about, I know I use a lot of analogies. We constantly talk about bear claws and fat kids. We love discussing baked goods. Why not? And I know I've told this story a million, thousand, 100 times. When I got here, there was a hesitation, and I think everyone feels it when they get started. There's a hesitation. It's like, I don't know. I don't know all the answers yet. I don't know where that is. I don't know what that does. I don't know who that is. And we find a million reasons to not take our first step, to make our first call, to find our first person, to get our first challenge going. And Nate said to me, day one of my freshman year, he's like, listen, we're making omelets. You're going to break some eggs. And we're going to make a mess inside the confines of the law, inside the guardrails of legal action. We're going to make a mess. Let's not worry about let's not worry about the mess we make. Let's worry about making sure we're moving forward while we're doing it, basically, is what he said. Perfect is the enemy of progress, and stepping forward is important. So if you're resetting, which a lot of people are doing constantly, our best agents will reinvent themselves over and over and over again and getting started again, not getting started and not knowing things, but just getting a rhythm going again. The consistency we always talk about is so important. And there's a difference. I've always talked about, like, I think anybody who's in a different industry or a different practice or a different discipline in business, it's always fascinating to watch them just be really good at what they do. Going back to food, of course, I'm going to say, I think chefs are just geniuses. I think when you can take a myriad of ingredients and just make it make sense and make it delicious. I think that's an art form. I think most of you would agree. And there's a looseness there when you're cooking. You can a dash of this, a little more garlic. You can sort of romance it together. It's not the same with baking, right? Anybody who is baking is a science. Things have to be precise. And you wonder how quickly they move. How do they move so quickly and do what they do when they're putting these cakes together and these and very fragile pastries and all this kind of stuff? How do they do all that and move so quickly? It's because they've consistently done it. There's a fast twitch muscle, yet there's still accuracy. And you could argue, oh, I've watched a pastry chef and it's not always perfect. It's not always, maybe they're eyeballing it. They're eyeballing it because they earn the right to eyeball it, because they know exactly how much 2 ounces feels in their hand or looks to their eye or fills in the bowl on top of the dry ingredients. For most of us, we haven't earned that right. It is said that mastery is achieved after 10,000 hours in a certain discipline. Are you there? I think I could argue that I have probably coached at this point for 10,000 hours. And I can tell you I'm far from mastery. But am I comparing myself to the mastery that is on this board of life against other people, or the discipline and the mastery of myself inside of that? That's the question we need to ask and answer. So maybe to get your systems back in place, the precision of your systems and the consistency of that will start to create that forward motion. Because there's certain things that are God-given talents, and in those arenas you get to cook. But when we're learning, when we're being specific, when we are making sure that we are precise with our systems and building consistency, that's where we need to bake. So where do you cook and where do you bake? Where can you play and where do you need to be precise? And are there things that you've gotten away from and you have to retrain those muscles and you have to go back and open up the cookbook again and you have to start to measure again because you've lost your way? Oh, I thought it was 2 ounces. It's only 1 ounce. And that makes a difference when you're baking. That makes a difference with the systems. When you're cooking, you can sort of empty the fridge. There's a marriage to both. And ironically, when we sit in most dining experiences, you enjoy what they cooked first, what they freestyled before you enjoy what is the masterpiece for many of us, the baked good. You get through all the frivolity and all the freestyle and all the imagination of the chef before you get to the precision of the pastry chef. And I think you would argue they're both absolutely delicious. One can be eyeballed, and the other has to be razor sharp. And they complement each other. And they both got what they are because of the consistency of doing it over and over and over again. We watch a chef in a kitchen. We watch a pastry chef creating confections, and we're like, they move so quick. It's so easy for them. It's not easy for them. They've built the skill over years of dedication. No one's an overnight success. We like to say that because we're just noticing. We say that to protect our ego. But you and I both know, whether you're a pastry chef or a line cook, there's skill, there's passion, and there's precision. And they are honed over time. Where are you in your kitchen? Where are you on your menu? Where are you in your studies? to create something that you will put in front of a consumer and have them enjoy and know that you cared and know that you poured your passion into it. And also know that for a time, you were precise to build the skill set to do that. Think about that as you talk to your people today. Think about that as you sit in contracts today. We'll see you in and around the market center and the internet. Have a great day.